As part of your GCSE, you will come across resource questions. These resource questions will usually include a photo and a piece of text with facts related to the photo. There will be hazard questions or linked to a place. It'll probably be a place you've never come across, and that shouldn't scare you. You just need to use the information they give you within the answer. These types of resource questions will normally start with a big statement or a quote about the photo, and then to what extent do you agree with this statement, and they're for 6 marks. Okay, so these are essentially your evaluate questions, because to what extent means you should agree in some way, but also disagree and give a conclusion. When approaching resource questions, the first thing I would do is look at the information they give you first of all. So this is an example of last year's GCSE. It's giving you a photo of a slum in Mumbai, and it shows a homeless person in London. Underneath the fact box tells you that a fact of Mumbai is a population and London is a population. My recommendation is to start annotating these and start interpreting what they could suggest, ideas you might have. I've done this year, and I've noticed a few things about this. This helps me automatically get to grips with the information before I even read the question. I can use this information when I actually answer my question itself, because this is what they want to get the top marks. When it comes to actually answering the question, first of all, you must read the question in detail. The way to do that is to use the bug technique. Remember, that means the box, the command word. In this case, to what extent, which means, again, as I said earlier, that's an evaluate type of question. So therefore, we've got to give a two-sided argument and a conclusion. We underline. You should underline the actual quote, which is the challenge in facing all global cities in the 21st century are the same. So you've basically got to evaluate whether that's true. Are global cities all the same? And then glance back over for any sort of extras. Well, this is 6 marks, which is indicating to me I need to do a repeat paragraph, and I need to ensure that there's a point, an explanation sentence, a therefore, which is a multiplier effect, and an example. But the example will be the resource, the information on the previous slide where I showed you all the images and the text. And as I said, we need 2 of these: a positive repeat, an agree repeat, and a disagree repeat. And lastly, conclusion to give your overall thoughts. Okay, here's my waggle paragraph. So, the first paragraph, I've agreed that the fact that global cities do have the same problems because they both have homeless populations. They have a lot of people who move from the rural to the urban areas, can't get jobs, and end up homeless. Like a multiplier effect where I've explained that this means that they end up in the city streets, and therefore they have to try and look after the population. And I give a fact from the resource to back it up. So my example is from the resource. My second paragraph, however, I disagreed with the statement, and I said that London is a rich country, so I've used terminology from a different topic to show my wider knowledge so that I can apply. And I've said obviously it's illegal to sleep rough in London and the police will move you on. This because obviously it brings a negative image from explaining it and how it affects tourism. My multiplier effect is it means that the rich countries like London spend money on rehoming the homeless. This doesn't happen in someone like Mumbai. For my example, this time though, I used something about Cardiff. We learned about Cardiff and global cities, and again, for the top marks, you've got to try and apply knowledge that you've learned and shown you've done revision in your answer. So I mentioned the Huggard Centre and how they give homeless people access to food and beds and so on in hostels. This is going to get you the best marks. So you don't always have to use the resource for your example. I'd encourage you to use something from your own revision. And lastly, I give a conclusion where I basically talked about both and come with my overall decisions. In my opinion, HICs are able to deal with the challenges and poor countries can't. So, my top tips are then: annotate the resources to give you a background of what the images are all about, the text is about. Write an agree repeat where you agree with the statement, then turn on its head and disagree with it, and you explain in detail. Use the examples from the resource in your answer and actually state, I can see this in the resource. If possible, try and show your own revision knowledge as one of the examples or in your explanation. Use geographical terminology from other topics that shows you're applying. And finish with the conclusion to give your overall decision to get the best mark.